Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm doing a Magical Musketeer deck profile. So I'm really excited for this one because I actually just won a tournament recently with this deck, and I really wanted to profile it with you and kind of go over a quick tournament report of this deck that I actually topped. It was a small locals tournament that I topped, actually. It was only about 3 rounds, but I did end up winning a Dual Devastators. The first round I actually played against a full-powered Gladiator Beast deck, which was a lot of fun. I played, which I 2-1, or 2-0'd. I played against a for hire deck that I went 2-0, and then I played against a Salamangreat deck, which I 2-1'd and won the whole tournament. It was really cool. I went flawless, undefeated all the way up until the end, where I went 2-1 at the very end, and it was a lot of fun. So without further ado, guys, let's get straight in this first place Magical Musketeer deck profile. I know it was kind of just a locals, but it was still awesome to be able to win with this deck, and this deck has actually been thriving a lot recently, so let's get straight onto this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Magical Musketeer Caspar. Caspar is hands down the best one to open up with, because if you open up Caspar, basically, quick overview of all the Magical Musketeer cards. Basically, they have effect of, during either player's turn, you can activate Magical Musketeer spell or trap cards from your hand. If a spell or trap is activated in this card's column, you can do a particular thing. Each one of your Magical Musketeers has a particular ability. Like, for instance, Caspar lets you add a Magical Musketeer card from your deck to your hand, but not one with the same name as the card that was activated under him, that's totally fine. Usually you're not going to activate another one, the same thing under him, because a lot of them are hard once per turns. So that's not that big of a deal anyways. Like, if I activate a Desperado, I'm probably not going to search a Desperado. I'll probably search something like a Last Stand to set up for my next turn for my opponent activating spells and traps, usually. That came up a lot when I actually, my opponent activated a Salamangreat Roar or Rage, one of the two. The counter trap, I think it's Rage. No, Rage is the normal one. Roar, which is the counter trap. I activated a Last Stand to negate it, and it was really awesome. Like, it was one of the blowouts of the game. Then we play 3 copies of Kid Brave. Kid Brave is the best draw power in the deck. Basically, when a spell or trap is activated under him in a column or in a column with him, then you get to discard a Magical Musketeer card from your hand to draw 2 cards, and you can only activate his effect once per turn. Pretty good to be able to draw 2 and go kind of +1, which is really good. 1 copy of Doc. I just play a single copy of Doc because he lets you add Magical Musketeer cards from your graveyard to your hand if a card's activated in his column, spell trap's activated in his column. I play 3 copies of Magical Musketeer Starfire. Starfire is one of the MVPs of this deck. I really love Starfire. I always either wanted to open up either a Starfire or a Caspar because it would give me a really good setup. But Starfire, basically, if a spell or trap is activated in her column, then you get to special summon another Magical Musketeer from your deck that's a level 4 or lower, which is really, really good. I play a single copy of Wild. Wild, if a spell or trap is activated under him, then you get to target 3 Magical Musketeer cards in your graveyard and shuffle them all into the deck, and then you get to draw a card. So if you do go into the grind game, this card's really good to be able to go into the grind game, because you just summon him, and then after you summon him off of like a Starfire, you activate like Cross Dom or Desperado under him, and then shuffle a couple of your Magical Musketeer cards back into your deck, which can really help out a lot. 1 copy of Calamity. I just played the single copy of Calamity. She's like a Monster Reborn. If a Magical Musketeer or a card is activated under her, then you can target a Magical Musketeer monster in your graveyard and special summon it in defense position, which can kind of start building up your board and helps you link into Magical Musketeer Max a little bit easier. So that's it for the Magical Musketeers. For the hand trap stuff that I played 2 copies of Nibiru, which basically this deck was Magical Musketeer Nibiru Turbo. Like, I always drew Nibiru exactly when I needed it and just dropped it at the exact moment I needed it. This card is so good. I thought about bumping it up to 3 in this deck. I didn't want to brick with it because it seemed like I always was drawing it when I needed it. So I'm just playing it as a 2 of, and then I played 3 copies of Ash Blossom as well. Ash Blossom came in really clutch too, because you end up with like 2 to 3 negates on your side of the field. Like, you end up with like a Nibiru to, get rid of everything on their field, and Ash Blossom negates something in their hand that they activate. You have like a copy of Last Stand and a copy of Cross Domination, and then you end up with 3 negates. So it in a board wipe with Nibiru. So it can be really pivotal. You never are OTKing in this deck. It's basically a control-based deck, and it really, really, really does well at that. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Double or Nothing. Since this deck doesn't really OTK that much, Double or Nothing really helps out to go into the Utopia double and then Utopia to go for 10,000. And plus, this really works nice now that we don't even... Like, this deck doesn't really get affected by Master Rule 5 at all, which... I mean, it just doesn't, because you only are ever really making Magical Musketeer max anyways, or one XYZ monster. It's more of a control-based deck, which is kind of nice. 2 copies of Instant Fusion. I never actually saw this in the tournament, but it does come in clutch sometimes. I played it in a game after the tournament, and it came up where you Instant Fusioned into a Thousand Eyes or Millennium Eyes to kind of bait your opponent so you can do your searching in this deck, or special summoning from deck. So if they activate an Ash, you can just grab the Ash out of their hand with Millennium Eyes, and it just really is great. 1 copy of Steady Hands. I just play a single copy of Steady Hands. It comes in handy when you need it. It lets you target a Magical Musketeer you control, and its attack and defense becomes double its original attack and defense in the end phase of the turn, but it can't attack directly. Not that big of a deal. Usually I'm just using this to trigger their effects. 3 copies of Cross Domination, Magical Musket Cross Domination. This card is awesome. If you control a Magical Musketeer monster, you can target a face-up monster on the field until the end phase of the turn, change its attack to 0, and also it has its effects negated. That's really good, and it's a quick effect because it's a quick play, and you can activate it during your turn or your opponent's turn if you control a Magical Musketeer. 3 copies of Ties of the Brethren. I didn't resolve this in the tournament, which was kind of weird. I think I resolved it 1 time. I think I resolved it against the For Hire person 1 time, and it worked, but it kind of like ended my turn, and so I'm thinking about dropping Ties of the Brethren. I don't know what I want to do with it yet, but I think this deck, if I remember correctly, I bumped it up to 41 right at the beginning of the tournament. I don't remember. It's either 40 or 41, but if so, I'm thinking about dropping these for like another Nibiru, and then 2 other cards. I haven't quite figured it out yet. I want to do a little bit more play testing. I kind of wanted to profile this at bare bones of what I actually did at the tournament and show you guys what happened. And then for the last 3 spells, we actually play 3 copies of Called by the Grave. This card came in so much clutch because my opponent, I'd activate like Caspar, and then they would drop Ash, and then I would do Called by the Grave against their Ash, and then go off, which was really, really nice. I have to say it was really bad against the... It was really bad against the player that was playing Gladbeast. I actually Called by the Grave a really pivotal card in their combo, and just they ended their turn and passed. The first round, it was really fun, but it kind of ended in 8 minutes, which was kind of crazy. Oh, you get 40 minutes per round, or 45 minutes, and I ended it in 8 minutes with Magical Musketeers. This deck works fast, and it works well, and I really enjoyed this deck. But it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the tournament. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing a single copy of Needle Dancing. Needle Dancing comes in pretty handy. Basically lets you remove 3 cards in your opponent's graveyard from play, which is really cool because if you're playing against something like Salamangreat, you can flip this and then banish a... you can banish something like a Gazelle, a copy of Baylynx, and then maybe a copy of Spinny. And it really cripples their combos because they're going to try and special summon back that Spinny, special summon back that Gazelle, and then activate the effect of the Baylynx to protect something. So this card can really come in clutch, and it's a really good card to play as a 1 of, maybe a 2 of. You could get away with 2. 1 copy of Fiendish Steel. Fiendish Steel came in clutch sometimes because Magical Musket monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects, and if this card in your possession is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, you can add a Magical Musketeer from your deck to your deck or graveyard to your hand, which was really funny because somebody in the tournament actually hit this card and didn't read it, and they were like, yeah, I'm just going to hit that, and I'm like, okay, that's fine, and then it kind of went off, and I got to add Caspar, and then I went off with that, which was fun. 1 copy of Crooked Crown. I just played the 1 copy of Crooked Crown. I bumped it from 2 to 1. You can only control 1 copy of it, and then during your main phase, you can special summon a Magical Musket monster from your hand. And if you do, if your opponent's monster zone in that monster zone's current column is unused, that zone cannot be used until the end phase of the next turn, or until the end phase of this turn, which is pretty good, but I don't use it as much as I thought I was going to. It's a good card, but I feel like since it's a continuous trap, it kind of locks me out of that zone, so I just played it as 1 of. 3 copies of Desperado. Desperado was so good. Pop any 1 card, any 1 face-up card, really good card. 2 copies of Last Stand. negates any spell or trap, and it's a speed spell 3, which is crazy. And then for my last 3, I played Solemn Judgment at 3. This card is literally always live, so I played it as a 3 of. You need the Magical Musk, or you need the Solemn Judgment at 3. This card is absolutely crazy. It's really good, and I don't see why you wouldn't play it at 3. So that's it for the spell, or that's it for the traps and the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, I am going to be playing 3 copies of Magical Musketeer Max. Magical Musketeer Max is such a good card in this deck, because basically with this card, all you have to do is link summon it for 1 card. You just link summon it for 1 Magical Musketeer card, and then depending on the kind of card your opponent controls, like, if they have more spells and traps, when it's link summon, you get to either add Magical Musketeer spells and traps with different names from your deck to your hand, depending on the amount of monsters your opponent has, or you get to add special summon Magical Musketeers with different names up to the number of spells and traps your opponent controls. So it kind of punishes your opponent from overplaying, and it's extremely easy to get into. I usually would link away something like a Calamity or a Wild into this if I just normal summon them, and then link this away to summon this, or link it away on my second turn. Usually you want to go first, is what I've observed in this deck and what I've played in this deck. You want to go first and then go into this during turn 3. Or if you don't go first and you end up getting pushed to go second, then you can actually link into this after opponents made their big board and either bait them or just go off. Like, if they don't stop this, you're gonna win. So this card's ridiculous. I play a single copy of Link Rebo. I played the Link Rebo for the Thousand Eyes Restrict and the Millennium Eyes Restrict, so it's there for, for that. 1 copy of Nightmare Unicorn. Bouncing stuff is still good, so we play it as a 1 of. I play a Cerberus and a Phoenix because popping monsters and spells and traps is really good too. 1 copy of Boral Sword. Only the 1 copy of Boral Sword. I don't usually go into 4s. Literally, I think I touched my extra deck like 2 or 3 times, and I think I went into a Baguska once, and I think I went into Max twice or 3 times during the tournament. Like, the main one that I went to was Max, and then I went into Baguska, I think, once to just stall my opponent for just a second so I could come back and win. So, I mean, I never really touched the majority of this stuff. It was just this and the Baguska, which I play as a 1 of. I think I touched Exciton Knight. I think I played Exciton Knight 1 time. The Baguska is just here to stall if you need to. Evilsworn Exciton Knight is to blow a board in case you need to. And then I play a copy of Utopia Double. Utopia Double is really good. I think I made Utopia Double once in the tournament, but it's kind of hard. You have to like set that play up with Starfire, where you normal summon Starfire, cross dom one of their monsters, reduce it to 0, and then after you reduce it to 0, you special summon out Calamity or Wild from your deck. Then after you summon Calamity or Wild, you overlay them into Utopia Double, add the double or nothing, and then go into Utopia on top of it, and then it comes out of 5,000, swing 1 time into the one that has 0, negate the attack, drop double or nothing, swing for 10,000, and then you win. Which was really easy. Like, it doesn't take a lot of setup. It just requires you to have a Starfire in any spell or trap that's a magical musket. Like, if it has less than 2,000 attack and you have that and they don't stop it, you're going to win. 1 copy of Nightmare Shark. Nightmare Shark was decent. I never made it, but it's a good option because you can win during time if you go into time. You just make 2 level 3 Magical Musketeers and then swing for 2k directly. 1 copy of Thousand Eyes Restrict. You make Thousand Eyes Restrict with Instant Fusion, and you just put it on the field in defense position, gobble up a monster, and then pass, or go into Link Rebo, and then normal summon whatever else you want to normal summon. Or you make Millennium Eyes Restrict and kind of bait your opponent out by putting this on the field, and then passing, doing what you need to do, and then linking it away, and then going into Link Rebo, and then having a attack negate on the field, because your Magical Musketeers don't get huge. That's really important. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. It's a really, really good deck. I would not hesitate to carry this to your regionals. It's super fun. Like I said, I'm thinking about dropping out the Ties of the Brethren in this deck, because it never, like, the one time I did resolve it against my For Hire player that I played against, it kind of backfired against me and didn't really, it got me advantage, don't get me wrong, but I felt like I couldn't do anything else that turn, and I was like, well, now I'm just sitting here with a bunch of negates, which was great, but I was like, man, this could have been something else. You know what I mean? But it's a good Swarm card. But I feel like Magical Musketeer Max kind of makes up for what Ties of the Brethren already does. So it's kind of like playing two of the same thing. So I might change it out. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit that bell notification, become part of the notification squad. Definitely tell me what you think of this video down in the comments down below. And do me a favor, guys, and definitely check out my Ko-Fi down in the description. I really appreciate any channel donations that you guys do actually give to the channel. It really helps out. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See you around, guys.